have fire in Berry Creek. So we're trying to shuffle our resources.
The sound of emergency crews in Northern California stretched to their limits in their battle with out-of-control wildfires. At least 3 people have now been killed by the fires in a small mountain community northeast of San Francisco. The local sheriff has not given any further details. Hundreds of homes have burned down. There are mass evacuations underway in other areas as well. And this is just one focal point. Explosive fires are raging across the entire state of California, and in fact, up through the Northwest United States into multiple other states. We're going to cover all of that with Steve Futterman this morning, who's live with us from Los Angeles. And good to see you at this time of just really devastation, Steve. Let's begin in California. What is the situation early this morning?
Well, Heather, not really good news. You had the 3 people found dead last night. Again, we're waiting for details. There are some reports that one person was trapped in a vehicle. As you know, we've been talking about these fires the last couple of weeks, how fast they spread. People have just been trapped in situations. The fire crews, these people who've been fighting fires for decades and decades, we seem to say this every year, but the fires begin to move faster and faster, and this year is no exception. So people have been caught in these situations. We heard from one gentleman yesterday, he had to hide in a steel shop. That's the only way he survived. He said that was the only building that was not destroyed by the fire. He survived, glad to escape with his life. But up and down the state, we have fires. The Creek fire was the big fire initially. Now there are other fires in San Francisco yesterday. Now, San Francisco, not that far away from the fires, but not in immediate danger, obviously. The city itself not in danger. But yesterday, the pictures in San Francisco, you could barely see things. At noontime yesterday, it was hard to see some street lights. So we've heard about these situations. Here in Southern California, we had the Santa Ana winds, which are calming down today a bit, but they're not going away. It's not going to be a pleasant few days ahead here in California, north, south, east, or west.
And as I mentioned, Steve, not just California. As we talk, just pause for a second because I want to bring in these images. These are the fires right now in Oregon. And boy, we're hearing some very dark words from the governor of that state about unprecedented fire, potentially the largest loss of human life and property because of wildfire in that state's history. Washington state affected too. Give us the Northwest picture, Steve.
Yeah, it's not just California. The story is pretty much the same in all these places. In Oregon, they are seeing fires, unprecedented fires, largest fires they've ever seen in decades and decades, probably ever. Now, yesterday, Kate Brown, the governor of Oregon, spoke about how dangerous the situation is in her state.
We expect to see a great deal of loss as a result of these fires, both in terms of structures and in terms of human lives. It, as I mentioned earlier, could be the greatest loss in human lives and property due to wildfire in our state's history.
Well, Heather, I mean, that says it all. The worst ever. We're not talking about the last 20 years, 30 years, century ever. These fires are exploding. Obviously, to some degree, people feel it's because of climate change. We're seeing fires act in ways they've never acted before. North of Oregon, of course, Washington State facing lots of problems as well. There was a small town there, 80% destroyed by a fire. They are moving so quickly. They want people to escape. They're urging people to get their belongings ready to go. They're urging them, in some cases, leave even ahead of time, because sometimes people have had their preparations all in their car, the things they want to leave with. They've not been able to get out of town. They've had to basically run for their lives. So it's a very dangerous situation. The conditions, not good. Dry brush, high temperatures, low humidity, and it's just turning into just a horrible, horrible few weeks. And unfortunately, Heather, probably it's going to continue off and on for the next month or so.
Well, Steve, good to have you there in position to bring us the details on this. Very much something to watch. Thank you for this morning. Steve Futterman from Los Angeles this morning.